Hey guys, I found this tutorial on Pinterest and I wanted to show you how I made it. Here's what you'll need. You'll need 5 pieces of coordinating fabric. Why is this video sideways? I have no idea. And you'll need medium weight interfacing along with 2 pieces of cardboard measuring 9 by 5.5 inches and a hair elastic, a button of any type or any size, and some basic sewing supplies. First thing we'll need to do is cut our fabric, and to make things easy I've labeled the fabrics 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Starting with fabric 1, you will need a piece that is 10 by 3.5 inches long and another piece that is 10 by 6.5 inches. You will also need a 10 by 13 inches. From fabric 2, you will need a 10 by 4 inch piece, and you will also need 2 10 by 6.5 inch pieces. And I'm sorry for editing out a lot of the important footage. I am such a noob at editing. From fabric 3, you will need a 10 by 6.5 inch piece, which is hemmed at the top about 1.5 inches. You will also need a 5-inch square that is folded at the diagonal. From fabric 4, you will need 2 pieces 10 by 6.5 folded in half, wrong sides together. And from fabric 5, you need a 7 by 6.5 piece, also folded in half, wrong sides together. From your interfacing, you need to cut a 10 by 13 inch piece. Now let's put it all together. You'll need the 2 smaller pieces of fabric 1 and the smaller piece of fabric 2 for your exterior. First, what you'll need to do is lay out fabric number 2 right side up. Then you'll take 1 piece of fabric 1 and lay it right side down, aligning the edges. Then you're going to stitch along that edge with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once you've stitched that, you can align the second piece of fabric 1 with the other edge of fabric 2, right sides together, and stitch along that edge as well with the same 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now you should have something like this. Next, you're gonna flip it over and press those 2 seams open. And after you've pressed them open, what I did was I top stitched along each side of my seam on both seams because I think it just looks prettier and it also reinforces your original seam, but that's optional. Next, take your interfacing and press it to the back side of your exterior piece, and then you can set aside this exterior piece for now. Now for the interior, I'm going to first lay out all the pieces for you guys so you can get an idea of what it's going to look like. First, you should lay out your fabric number 1 10 by 13 inch piece right side up. Then you'll take the 2 10 by 6.5 pieces of fabric number 2 and also lay them right sides up, aligning the edges of fabric with fabric 1. Then you'll take your fabric 3, which you've hemmed down from the top, and align it from the bottom on your right side. Next, place the fabric pieces from fabric number 4 on each side, being careful to align the bottom as well as the left and right edges. After that, you'll take fabric number 5 that's folded over and place that on your left side, aligning it from the bottom. Then you'll take your diagonally folded square 5-inch square from fabric number 3 and also place that on your left side, aligning it the bottom and the left. These are your pocket pieces, and what I did was I double stitched on top of the fold of each pocket piece. And you can customize this any way you want it. You can add more pockets, take away pockets, whatever works best for you. Now you want to take each side of your pocket pieces and zigzag stitch along the edges, just the 3 edges. You don't need to do it on top, even though I'm pointing to it. And you want to do it as close to the edge as possible. What this will do is hold your pockets in place on top of fabric number 2. After stitching the 3 sides, you want to fold in one long side of your rectangle, and you want to fold in the part that is going to be towards the middle of the portfolio, and you want to sew a 1/2 inch seam there. You want to fold it under and sew a 1/2 inch seam on both pieces. Now place your pocket pieces on top of fabric 1, both are right sides up, and stitch all around the rectangle as close to the edge as possible, again to keep the pockets in place. Now back to the exterior piece, we're going to attach our button. You want to figure out where you want to sew your button, and take your marker and mark it there. And you want to do that at least 1 inch away from the edge, because that includes a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now we're going to take the elastic and measure how long we want to make the band to close the portfolio. Now I'm going to fold in 1/2 inch of my fabric, because that's going to be caught in the seam allowance. And I'm also going to stick the 2 cardboard pieces underneath. Be careful not to make your elastic too snug, because you want to be able to add documents and pens or whatever you want to hold in there and not have it too tight. Now that you've figured out how big you want your loop to be, you're gonna sew it back and forth with your machine. Finally, let's sew our exterior and interior pieces together. Place your interior piece right side facing up, and place your exterior piece right side facing down on top, like that. Now take your elastic and the loop that's going to be holding the portfolio together, closing it tight. You want to put that in between the two pieces. You want to make sure it aligns with the button. Stitch all the way around the rectangle using a 1/2 inch seam allowance, but leaving a 3 inch opening. Remember to backstitch when you start and when you stop. What I do to help me remember not to stitch the whole rectangle closed is I place 2 different colored pins where I start and where I will stop. And that reminds me that, or you can even mark it with your pen. This is where I have to stop. When you're stitching around a corner, you don't need to take your needle out. You can leave it inside the fabric. Just lift the lever up and turn it around a 90-degree angle. Push the lever back down and keep sewing. Clip the corners and turn your portfolio inside out. this can get a bit tedious. Remember to use a pointy object like the tip of your scissor, or like in my case, a wooden chopstick, to push the ends of the corner out. Once you're satisfied, press it flat with a hot iron and hand sew the opening closed. And if you're not into hand sewing, you can always top stitch very close to the edge all the way across. Finally, take your cardboard pieces. I've just pasted some nice colored paper on it in case it were to show, and slide them in on each side of your portfolio, and you're done. There are a couple things I learned from doing this tutorial that I want to mention to you, so you don't make the same mistake. One thing is, when I place my pocket pieces onto my big interior piece, I wish I had aligned it properly so it wouldn't be closer together on the bottom and further apart, because now it looks like a V instead of being more symmetrical. And also with my notepad holder, I wish I had hemmed it down 1.5 inch like I told you guys to do, instead of 1 inch like it's said in the tutorial, because now if I place a notepad there, the top is going to be sticking out, so it won't look right. The next time I'll be careful to hem it 1.5 inch like I told you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I enjoyed making it, and I hope you like how it turns out.